Dublin. If you watched MTV in the winter of 1994, it was impossible to ignore Zombie by the Cranberries. The music video director, Samuel Bayer, drew from a palette he'd used on Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, and positioned the band's lead singer, Dolores O'Riordan, painted in gold, in front of a large cross. "It's the same old theme since 1916, Ms. O'Riordan snarled, referencing the quashed rebellion that gave birth to the Irish Republic, between clips of British soldiers on the streets of Northern Ireland and play-fighting children. In your head, they're still fighting." There were many breaking points during the war in Northern Ireland, but the second Warrington bombing in England in 1993 was significant enough to cause street protests in Dublin. 3-year-old Jonathan Bell and 12-year-old Tim Perry were killed when the Irish Republican Army detonated 2 bombs in trash cans. Touring in England at the time, the Cranberries digested the news, and in response wrote Zombie, their protest song. By the time the single was released in 1994, 2 weeks after a ceasefire announcement from the IRA, and a month before one from the Unionist paramilitaries who opposed them, the Cranberries were one of the biggest rock bands in the world, with Ms. O'Riordan at the helm, a front woman so prominent that the Cranberries meant her. They were an Irish band whose global success was instigated by how America embraced them, by MTV giving their moody music videos heavy rotation, and, crucially, by American radio, a medium that prompted album sales of more than 40 million, mostly for their first 2 albums. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we in 1993? And no need to argue in 1994. Now, the Cranberries' music reminds me of the inside of bedrooms, of school discos where everyone swayed, bored, until Zombie came on and the moshing began, awkward at first. The songs evoke the smell of damp school sweaters and the ennui of suburban bus shelters, as well as the money scraped together to buy Dr. Martens boots. As news broke on Monday that Ms. O'Riordan had died suddenly, Irish people took to social media in shock. In the evening, people switched on 2FM, the popular music station of the national broadcaster route, where the host Louise McSherry dispensed with her plans and instead gave the 2-hour program over to the Cranberries' music. Fans and musicians phoned in to talk about what the band and Ms. O'Riordan meant to them. Women sent in text messages about how they had mimicked O'Riordan's style, and how her songs had gotten them through their school exams. The headiness of young female angst was central to the Cranberries. Ms. O'Riordan was a teenager when she wrote the lyrics to the band's second single, Linger, in response to a first kiss. The teenage memories of many Irish women are inextricably linked to Ms. O'Riordan's voice. And what a voice! Like many Irish singers, she consciously or unconsciously incorporated the highly stylized ornamentation of traditional Celtic sean-nós singing. If the guitar of U2's The Edge is the evolution of a fiddle midjig, Ms. O'Riordan's voice was keening the dead at the end of Awake. It's hard to quantify the impact Ms. O'Riordan had on young Irish women. At the very least, she is responsible for a large portion of those Dr. Martens sales in the 90s. For Irish women in their 20s and 30s, she occupies a space next to Sinead O'Connor, 2 petite punks whose unconventionality thrilled and intimidated a society adverse to just that. Like Ms. O'Connor, Ms. O'Riordan took international stardom by the scruff of its neck. She shaved her head, she turned up to rock late-night American talk shows, and did it all in her own strong Limerick accent. It was the accent that positioned the Cranberries as a truly Irish band. Ms. O'Riordan never pretended to be someone else, he did not adopt an American twang, but sang in the bold brogue of her hometown, a place later viewed internationally through the prism of Frank McCourt's memoir Angela's Ashes as a rain-soaked, gritty place. Don't underestimate the power of hearing a woman from a nation with a small country complex proudly owning her lilt. Even the arena-size songs, embellished with glossy 90s rock production, sounded unmistakably Irish. The Cranberries appeared to arrive fully formed, and their international success created a tremendous sense of pride in Ireland. At home, Ms. ORiordans was viewed with fascination, regarded as edgy and out there, a perception compounded by her wedding to Don Burton, the former tour manager of Duran Duran, with whom she had 3 children. The 1994 ceremony in County Tipperary was front-page news, her outfit the talk of the town, see-through lace leggings, knee-high white lace-up boots, a white lace bra under a sheer, endlessly flowing veil. Her husband wore a black leather suit. It was the 90s. The locals looked on agape. On Monday, the Irish Times photographer Brenda Fitzsimmons tweeted that Ms. ORiordans' arrival at her wedding, steering a horse-drawn carriage with her veil blowing, was so ballsy I nearly forgot to take pictures. The opening crash of the Cranberries' 1993 song Dreams has a transporting effect for me, back to school corridors, back to ink drawings on canvas backpacks, back to the clunk between songs on mixtapes recorded from the radio. Ms. ORiordans always looked so small behind those big guitars, but with fragility there was fierceness, one of our own, the joy of an outsider owning it for herself, and for all of us.